Hi guys, it's Josie here. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about how to get past the ugly stage of a painting, which is something that I've been struggling with a lot recently. For me, the ugly stage is usually around about the middle of a painting when I've put in the lights and the mid-tones, but I haven't fully put in all the dark tones. And basically it just looks a little bit ugly. So in today's video, I've got 5 tips of things that I've been thinking about recently that might help you if you're going through some similar struggles with your own painting. So the first tip is to make sure that you have a good foundation for your painting. So this is all about the drawing and making sure that you're spending enough time getting your proportions right, your perspective right, before you even start putting any paint down. So however you do your drawing, whether that's with a pencil or even with a paintbrush and paint, it's really important to make sure that your foundation is as good as it can be before you get to the painting stage. In this sketch, for example, I spent quite a lot of time trying to get the perspective right and making sure that everything was correct before I started the painting. And if you're drawing buildings or a landscape, it's about making sure that you have the vanishing point and the horizon line correct for the scene that you're drawing. The next step is to have a process and to trust the process. So at this point of the painting, I was feeling pretty good. I'd put the first wash down, took my dog for a walk, and then I got back, and that's when the real ugly stage started. So at this stage, I was putting in a lot of the mid-tones for the buildings, and I really wasn't enjoying how it was looking. I felt like it was looking quite childish, and I just really felt like it was ugly. So this is when I really needed to trust the process, and it's something that you can only really do over time and repeating the same thing over and over again. Even though I was kind of hating it, I knew that if I just kept going, I might get something that I vaguely liked in the end. The next tip, if you're feeling like your painting is really ugly, you're probably stuck in the mid-range of values. So this is where you don't have enough light and you don't have enough darks, and your entire painting is just full of mid-tone values. When I'm feeling like my paintings are in the ugly stage, they're usually in the stage where I'm adding all those mid values and I haven't yet got to the dark stage. If you're painting in acrylics or oils, it might be the other way around. You might be starting with the darks and you might not have added enough lights or highlights at this point, and that can also be when you're in the ugly stage. With watercolor, it's kind of the reverse. You start with the lighter sections and gradually add darks, but whichever way around you're painting, the ugly stage is simply that you have too many mid-range values. So if that's the case and you're really struggling to get out of the ugly stage, I would suggest either going darker or going lighter, depending on which medium you're using and which way around you're painting, whether you're painting from dark to light or light to dark. So the next tip, if you've been stuck in the ugly stage for quite a while and you can't find a way out, is to take a step back. So this is taking a step back from your reference, which can be things like squinting at the reference can really help. They can really help you see the values and the shapes rather than focusing too much on the details. Another great way to do this is take a photo of your painting. For some reason, for me, looking at my work through a phone screen really helps me see it in a bit of an abstracted way, I guess because it's a lot smaller size screen obviously, and also just seeing it in a different context can really help see what you're looking at in a different way. Another way to do this is using a mirror. So a lot of the time I'll just hold up my painting to a mirror, and that really helps your brain see what you're doing from just a slightly different angle. So these are all ways to take a step back from your painting and figure out what you need to do next to get out of the ugly stage. And finally, if you're still not happy and you've done all the tips that I've mentioned and you've added your darks and you still feel like you're in the ugly stage, you might just need to try again, and that's okay. I think a lot of the time we assume that we'll be able to paint exactly what we want to do first time round without much practice, but that's not true. With any other skill, say if you're learning to rollerblade or play the piano, we don't assume that we'll be able to do it straight away. But for some reason with art, we kind of expect that if we sit down and do a painting or a drawing, it will look vaguely what we want it to look like straight away, which just simply isn't true. So if you really can't get out of the ugly stage, maybe just try again. Maybe try going outside, painting from still life, or just go back to the basics of practicing drawing, learning perspective, and trying to get those basic skills right. With this particular sketch, in the end, I wasn't completely happy with the result, but once I'd added a lot of those darker values and gone in at the end with a little bit of gouache to add some of those lighter values back in, I was a lot happier with it. I still have a lot to learn when it comes to watercolor painting and sketching, but I've just come to realize that if I just keep repeating the process over and over again and trying to do something every single day, then eventually I'll just breeze past the ugly stage without worrying about it too much. So hopefully this video was helpful. Let me know if you've been struggling with some of the same things, and maybe if you've figured out a way to get past the ugly stage. I'd love to hear it too. Feel free to leave a comment here or send me a DM on Instagram. That's all for this week's video, and I'll see you in the next one.